Now, the Prime Minister will say today that we need to end what he calls our sick note culture, with more of a focus on getting people back to work.
Yes, part of it will be to take the responsibility for issuing sick notes away from doctors. But is that right? Dr Emeka Okorocha says only GPs should decide if someone is fit to work. He's fit to work. He's just come off an overnight shift, by the way. And Charlie
A&E,
Mullins...
of all places.
Exactly.
Goodness me.
And Charlie Mullins says it's too easy to sign people off and it's bad for British business. Come to you first, Charlie. You run this, everyone knows, it's a huge plumbing business, so obviously you're in the heart of it, employ a lot of staff. Do you agree, more so than any time in the past, that we've got this sick note culture around at the moment?
Yeah, well, the figures have jumped tremendously and, you know, I think at one time you'd go to the doctors and they'd have to convince you you've got a mental health problem, but now you go there and you're convincing them and they're just signing you off and the real problem is there's no long-term sort of help for them because they can't get more appointments to get reassessed, so... I think what Rishi is coming up with is getting someone to reassess them further down the line and about getting them back into the workplace. So I think what he's doing is a good thing, but obviously you've got all the busybodies will be saying, no, it's a terrible thing, what's happening.
But then do you accept, though, with things, people have financial worries and post-COVID, you know, people are more aware of their mental health, and there's definitely issues around. Do you not accept that perhaps this is just a result of people's own health and well-being not being looked after?
Well, of course, them problems are there, but them problems have always been there, haven't they? We've always had issues with money and people, you know, with worries and concerns. The fact is that, you know, we have become very much a lazy culture and by staying at home, not working, it's not making things better. So, you know, it's not necessarily going the right direction. We can't afford for it to be carrying on. Yeah. And it's so simple to say, I'm well, I'm not going to work.
Dr Emeka, you've just done how long a shift overnight?
So you've lost me about 10 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you
well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much for coming in. You obviously feel very passionate about this.
I am very passionate about this. And I think, just to correct you, I don't think it should be only GPs who should be judging whether or not people are fit enough to work, but health professionals as a whole. But I think GPs are the best people placed to do it. And that's because they've usually developed a rapport with the patient. So they know not only the disease or mental health illness that the patient may be suffering with, the diagnosis, but also knowing that person individually, because it's usually that somebody they've seen before. So if you've seen somebody before and you know their baseline and you know they've been struggling with whatever maybe previously they've mentioned in the consultation, you think, actually, this is becoming an issue for you and you're not able to complete your work. And I think we're on the same side where we do want to get people into work as we can, but I don't want this culture or stigmatism where people don't want to come forward with mental health conditions they've been suffering with and then put other people at risk. For example, myself, if I'm suffering with a severe condition, and I know we jumped all the way to mental health, however, any sort of condition where I didn't think I could fulfill my duties properly on my job, people's lives and their health is at risk. And I'd expect my GP to be able to assess me and see that and say, Emeka, it doesn't look like you're able to fulfill your job. Actually, I don't think it's safe for you to work at the moment. And I think this is why we need to issue a fit note. If it's under 7 days and I feel, OK, maybe it's a temporary self-limited illness, I can go off for 7 days and tell my employer, listen, I'll self-certify, I wasn't very well this week, this is what happened. But if, for example, it's chronic, which most mental health illnesses are, and there's something going on and on and on, and your GP should know about it.
I suppose one of the reasons why mental health has been included is because there's been a big jump in those not able to work for mental health. Of course, there could be many reasons, better diagnosis, maybe, you know, challenges with access to support with that. And I think one of the things that people are concerned about is this idea that, you know, there are serious mental health concerns which really affect people to work. What Mel Stride and indeed the Prime Minister are talking about is not medicalising what they term as normal worries. You know, normal life worries, which in the past, this is the argument, people would have worked through and got on with it, now are enough to sign people off work. Is that your experience?
See, now that's where we fall into the grey area and that's become dangerous because whose job is it to define what's normal and abnormal? So we are trained with criteria and set criteria where we assess and evaluate people to see, actually, this isn't just normal anxiety, just generalised anxiety disorder. This isn't just you feeling upset or sad about bereavement. This is actual depression, or this is a bipolar. So we are taught to be able to evaluate and diagnose this. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever had somebody that hasn't been able to work because of ill health that you felt could have worked in your experience?
All the time. I mean, maybe you could answer, where does this Monday and Friday illness come from? Comes every Monday and Friday. People don't know what it is, but it comes on them days. What you're saying, for the people that definitely need mental health and have got mental health issues, of course they need all the help they can, but there's a lot of people out there that are just playing that card and they know how simple it is to go to the doctor or the GP and get signed off from work. This idea is coming up with, it's actually going to help more people back into the workplace, because once you've had an appointment with a GP, you can't get back there within 7 days. It can be months, and then long term you're off. Can I just say this? If you're off work for 50% of the people that are off work for 6 months never go back to work. So we should be showing them a way of how to get back into.
But Charlie, what does it say about the work environment, though? Because imagine, you think, OK, well, they should want to come into work. Maybe they're not happy with the work environment. Maybe they're not happy with the job situation.
Well, that don't give them right to be off sick, though, does it? If they're not unhappy with the job.
But should employers be doing more to create a happier,
of course they should,
work environment?
Yeah, well, I mean, we of course they should, and I'd like to think as an employer that's what we do, and I'm sure many other employers do. But you can't say I'm sick because I don't like working with Mary, or I don't want to be in that working environment. Look, it's too easy, and this guy's in the business, so he must know how easy it is. How many people are wasting GP's time with a 2-bob headache, or, I don't want to go to work today? It's all... I mean, are doctors any good at diagnosing laziness?
So it's difficult. I wouldn't actually class it as laziness, but I do get where you're coming from.
Right.
I think it then changes, because then it's not a fit note you might need, but you might need a private medical certificate. Because if you're off for less than 7 days and it happens to be the same sort of days every week and it's a chronic thing, that's when your employer might ask,
and that's when a GP you'd like to be involved, so that you could have that conversation.
I feel like it needs to be a patient-centred discussion between the employer, the GP and the patient to discuss what is the problem and how can we get around it. Does this mean maybe amending the different hours you work? Maybe you're suffering with insomnia, you can't do nights.
Or you could have any
Thank
reason you want not to go to work. I mean, we should be finding a way of how we can get them to work, not worrying about how you can get off work.
Charlie, very good point, I think. And also, I think we need to let you go and get some sleep. You need a shift as well.
Don't be so lazy. Don't be so lazy. Come on, get another shift.
Put in another 12 hours. Oh,
All right.
Great to speak to both of you.
Thank you, guys.